participate and play a role, whatnot. But I really, really think that Korea has all the elements to lead in this initiative the same way Switzerland did in the ITU back in the days. If somebody were to say that Switzerland can be better than Korea, I can debate that 24/7. I can tell Korea is a lot more suitable than Switzerland today to actually run something like that. And I will win that battle. I don't know if I will win the battle over political things, which we want to try to avoid any political. We truly want something that can be for all humanity, and if it is can benefit all humanity, then we can have the IEEE to back it. I am the global chair for the IEEE, International Protocols for AI Security, and even myself, I cannot back something as much as I like it. If it's just going to benefit the East or just benefit the West or not, it has to be for all humanity. And if I bring it all humanity, the IEEE will back it. And of course, you all know that the United Nations functions the same way. If Alexandre, who's with us here today, want to talk about what his view on it, whatnot. Alexandre founded WAPP, in the world for the United Nations, been recognized and whatnot, and if it also services the entire globe, then the United Nations will also see that as an opportunity. So there's certain things we want to make sure that we adhere to. Also, let's not forget, which is something I had said earlier, I just want to reiterate that, is that the intent here is not to provide copyright for people, nor copyright for hybrid. The intent here is to separate completely and have something that can provide copyright for AI only, while the copyright for human will be human. This is for the intro of what this program is. I really hope that it takes off. I really wish I have more time to grow it as well, but I really think that what we have here in the room is a truly fundamental elements and amazing individuals who came here from all over, so I thank you all for coming. I know many people, if you were to Google pretty much each and every one of you, would find that there's a lot of content online. But I have witnessed myself, for example, her and his Imperial Highness, they're here with us with the Habsburg. A lot of people, they talk about the Habsburg history, whatnot, and maybe we can see a lot of the Habsburg, but I don't know a lot of the Habsburg they're actually doing as much as these individuals go to humanity. I feel like it's great to see that people, because there's a reason why the vast majority of people, when they look at the previous generations, they were ruling this planet, they're not actually paying attention, they're not doing good things, whatnot. So when we find an exception, and we find this exception is actually doing more than regular anybody, I think it needs to be recognized and appreciated, because it sets an example to many, and to many of us in the future as we're building this world. So I'm hoping that we can leverage any connection, any power that we have to kind of use that as an exemplary. And of course, as if you all heard any other event over there, we have renowned AI scientist, Dr. Mihaela here with us today, and she's a very well-published scientist. If anybody is into reading, you can read a lot of material in AI.
Yeah, our translator will just sum it up.
and of course, it is some things can get lost in translation. But if you're into AI and if folks are into that, they're listening to this for the very first time, and you'd like to get a little bit more, you can look at these things online, and of course. Minister Hu is with us here, and I feel one of the motivation that Minister Hu is with us for, and why would the ex-Minister of Finance of Korea be here in this initiative, and why is it that the Minister of Justice is not here? Because initially we thought that the Minister of Justice was to be here, and sometimes folks, they would want to wait to see what's going to come out of this Is this going to be something that is just going to be talk without action, or is this going to be action that may not necessarily be aligned with some political interests or whatnot? If this initiative were to ever take any political angle one versus another, I don't think anybody here anymore will be involved. I truly think that Minister Ku's motivation to be here, and of course you speak to yourself, it's just, I got to know Minister Ku, and he gets extremely excited when he feels that there is a true initiative that can actually benefit Korea, to enable Korea to benefit the world. And I think that's honorable, and this is really something that we're extremely happy to have amongst us that power to drive in that direction. Of course, when you present, you can have whichever angle that you think is necessary. And of course, Dr. Robert Moore with us here as well. Came all the way from the West Coast of Canada. He's the chief scientist at the Hyper Cycle at AI. But I got to know Robert long before that in the data structure project that is also built for all humanity, and it's called R64. Robert would perhaps give us a bit more of in-depth technical elements of why we actually think that as every single agent is partaking in the creation of this copyright is leaving certain marks that they're actually being captured, so effectively they're being published without necessarily revealing the secret behind it. This is marvelous to actually have those capabilities. And Yusuf, would you like me to keep going? I mean, I know that David Lake, not a lot of people know David Lake. He's the gentleman who a lot of people think he's the CIA, but let me tell you, because you can find
James Bond.
Because you can find him online, because he speaks English fluently, and he's like, white Anglo-Saxon and all that. Don't think he's CIA, but I can share with you all that if he were to be belonging to any three-letter, it would be four letters. It would be more like this, I guess, because he's Canadian.
Both of you are Canadians, non-political.
Right. And of course, we have a lot of support from the academia as well.
Yes.
Professor, you'd like to talk about that? You're going to
we are sort of short of time, so that we'll have congratulatory remarks from Minister Ku.
Okay.
And then we could have Alexander, and then you two could in the presentation.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So for those watching this video for the very first time, one of the things that I don't think any one of us in this room is skilled at is organization skills, so we apologize for that. I don't know who's next, so I guess Minister Ku.
Minister Ku.
Minister Ku, please.
Yeah, say a few words.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you. Welcome everybody visiting Korea, and probably Your Highness is the first visit to Korea. Other people, did you visit Korea before?
Yes. First time for a while.
First time. Yes.
Many times.
First time.
Yeah, okay. Alexander also first time, right?
Oh, Alexander's first time. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, we want to welcome everybody. And I think
60 seconds. Yes, 60 seconds for me.
I think today is a historic day.
Yay!
Historic.
Historic day, yeah.
Yeah, we finally create international agency for copyright for AI.
Yeah.
Today is very historic day, I think. So sooner or later, no, we are in the middle of a world of AI. Do you agree?
Yes.
So, we will have a lot of creations by AI. So that's why we built IACAI. IACAI, how can
Yeah.
we pronounce?
Yeah.
IACAI?
Yeah, IACAI.
IACAI.
Oh, Iacai is good. Iacai, yeah. Iacai, yes.
But anyway, but we have to think. I have a question for to P. If we admit copyright for AI, in that case, we have to provide a legal personality for AI. Who will provide the legal personality for AI? I have a question. Otherwise, we cannot admit copyright for AI. So we have to think over that issues, the creation of a legal personality for AI. Otherwise, we cannot admit the copyright for AI. So
I was hoping you'd say that. I was going to say that.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
you will answer.
Okay.
Anyway, I think today is a very historic day, and we expect a lot of works in the future. And recently, I talked to Minister of ICT, and they will admit our works as the government enrolled entity. So I really appreciate your works, and we will do our best to support this International Agency for Copyright.
예, 이것도 좀 설명해 주세요. 이미 copyright was established.
Yeah, copyright was established. We already enrolled in Korea.
Yeah, we have 3 companies.
Yeah, so a lot of the Korean press was surprised at preparing this kind of works in Korea. They was
Yeah, we are fast.
yeah, we are so fast, and we will accelerate in the future.
Yes.
Anyway, welcome to Korea, and we will do our best, okay, to support all this kind of works. Welcome to Korea. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Alexander. 예, 예, 레바논의 대통령 후보이십니다. 예, 다음번에 대통령, 레바논 대통령.
Well, thank you very much for coming. I'm
This
delighted to
is
be
the,
here.
Yeah.
I want to start by saying that this project would not be possible without a visionary. Without the vision of Tufi.
Yeah.
This is, Minister Kuyu said this is a historic day. I think this historic day, we owe it to this gentleman. However, this initiative would not be taking shape had it not been for Young-suk and yourself, Mr. Minister, who grabbed this idea and said, let us try to do it in Korea. And you are setting up the companies and you are setting up the agency. So congratulations to you too.
Thank you.
And now I hope
Quick round of applause for him.
네, 오픈하세요.
and now my hope
두 번째 거.
is to build on what Tufi was talking about. My
아니고,
hope is that Korea,
그거 말고
like you
다른 거.
guys,
두
the
번째.
government of Korea, would take on this initiative as well.
이 사람이
Because I
준비해.
think it has to be a public-private partnership. This is very important. And of course, an agency for AI can be private. And there are many private agencies. And in Korea, you have about 5 or 6 that are for different industries and fields or sectors. But I think an initiative at this level
예, 지금
of this baby that society is giving birth to now has to involve governments. And I spent some time last week in Geneva talking to people at the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, to see where do they stand on this, how can we work with them. And I think we need a champion. because the people at WIPO are saying, let's wait and see where the US Copyright Office is thinking about it. They're actually running a consultation, a public consultation. The UK is doing the same, but there's nobody championing this cause yet. And I think Korea and this agency can take on this challenge, and it would be fantastic.
Yes,
I have a presentation.
yes, that's. Is
My
that it?
presentation,
Is that it?
This is the last slide.
Last slide. 첫 번째 첫 번째 슬라이드로 가야 됩니다. Okay.
But can you not scroll? Can you just like go from slide to slide? But anyway, it doesn't matter. Now,
저
frankly,
페이지 전체가.
as Tufi was saying, we're not
아니, 요
well
페이지 전체가.
coordinated, so I really didn't know exactly what we're going to be addressing today. I took the liberty of writing something about the state of copyright in AI. And let's see, I mean, I don't know if it takes some time. You tell me and we'll stop. So, the WIPO Copyright Treaty talks about compilations of data or other material in any form, which by reason of the selection or arrangement of their contents constitute intellectual creations, are protected as such. This protection does not extend to the data or to the material itself and is without prejudice to any copywriting. Basically, it is saying if you have some intellectual property, you can get a copyright, and then it goes on to say that the copyright does not apply in the case of computer programs where the program itself is not the essential object of the rental, i.e. it is for people, not for computers. So now there are two issues with AI and copyright. The first issue is talked about a lot, and that is the AI engines using data that is already copyrighted. And this is an infringement on existing intellectual property. There's a debate. People that have IP copyright want to be paid, and the big companies are saying, we cannot pay. And next slide, please. I'm giving here my personal opinions on matters. So while it is a concern, yet it is true that a model that has been trained on 5 million pieces of work and then produces a product, an AI product, how and who is going to determine what exact piece of work is to be compensated? So it is impossible really to compensate people for their AI. And therefore, we need, I think, to go the next level. The next level is to say, from now on, if you don't want your work to be picked up by an AI engine, then we should say it should not be picked up by an AI engine. And there are two ways to do that. There are ways that you can protect it with applications such as Glaze. Glaze is an application that you put on your work and the AI engine cannot pick it up anymore. Or alternatively, you do like what Google and YouTube do. So on YouTube, for example, if you post a video, Google is constantly searching to see if you are infringing on any AI. And if you are, they will contact you and they will say, you're infringing on this AI, therefore we're going to block your video. Or if the creator of that video has given authorization to Google to share the copyright, but to be compensated, then Google will tell you, you can use it, but the proceeds, the revenue, you have to share it with this copyright. So already there are systems in place that can be used for dealing with the first problem of copywriting AI. However, now the thing is on the other side. You have produced a work, and how do you get it copyrighted? Next slide. So where are we now? Now we are saying that most countries are saying you have to be a real person physical or moral. You can be a company or a person to get the copyright, but you cannot be a machine. And this is based on major conventions and treaties. The first one is the Berne Convention, which was signed in 1886, and then eventually was transformed as the WIPO Copyright Treaty. And WIPO, as I said, is an organization that manages many, many treaties. There are several treaties that govern copyright. But all of these talk about persons. Next slide. So the US courts, as early as 1991, said you have to be a human being. In the UK, they have CDPA, which is the Copyright Design and Patents Act. Section 178 of CDPA defines computer-generated work as work generated by a computer in circumstances such that there is no human author of the work. So this is AI work. And then it says that computer-generated work belongs to the writer of the software, not the user. So let's say OpenAI that produces the software can now have the copyright and not the person that created the art using the OpenAI ChatGPT. Okay? And the Court of Justice of European Union, a little bit like the US, is saying that originality must reflect the author's own intellectual creation, not that of a machine. China is the first one, only a few days ago, November 27th, the Beijing Internet Court established a precedent. It recognized AI copyright. And somebody that had produced AI work.
Listen to me.
Huh? They listen to you.
Always listening.
Okay, yeah.
Right now, I can tell you with 100% certainty, a lot of governments around the world are probably listening. Maybe China 100% is listening. 100%. And I actually congratulate them to that. I just wish the rest of the nations they actually are a little more proactive.
I think it's inevitable. I think everybody will go there.
Yes.
But people are still struggling with legacy. They're still struggling with old texts that they have. I mean, the conventions I'm talking about, they talk about phonograms, they all talk about cassettes. I mean, they haven't really gotten to the modern age as yet. But eventually they'll get there. We need to be the catalysts of making sure that that happens.
That's right, yes.
And that it happens the right way.
Yeah, okay.
So, okay, so next one. So who should get the copyright? Is it the writer of the software or is it the user? I'm arguing that it should be the user. And OpenAI already recognized that. OpenAI said, we are ceding all rights to users. We, OpenAI, even though we're the software writers, we don't get anything. The UK government is moving in that direction. The US government will probably follow. And WIPO, like I said, is waiting to see. But hopefully with our effort, it can move in that direction. Next. Next. So, here are the arguments that I usually present. Somebody says, you take a picture, you're not doing the work, the camera is doing the work. Okay? So you should not get copyright for it. But already, since the 19th century, there's been an established system that says, no, it's not the camera that gets the copyright, you get the copyright.
Yeah, very good example. Yeah.
So now, there are people that say, yes, but the camera is different from an AI system. Because the camera, you are pointing the camera in the right direction, you're adjusting the focus, you're adjusting the lighting, you're doing all these things as a human being. While the AI, you are just putting a prompt in the chat, and then it gives you something. Point is, maybe that's true, but not all photographs are managed. Sometimes you take a picture with your iPhone immediately, and it's It's celebrated and it sold for millions. And you didn't plan anything, you just took it. So why is a photograph copyrightable, but not AI work, where you may have entered all kinds of instructions as to how to produce it? Next one. Artist versus AI. So they say, when you give instructions to an AI engine, it's like somebody who gets an artist and says, I want you to paint a painting for me, X, Y, Z. So the user is only giving instructions and is not actually doing the work. That's right. And the artist does get paid for the work they do, but they get paid once. They don't get paid every time that the work is used, because they get paid once, and after that, it's the owner that is using it. And in the case of AI, whoever using an AI engine has already paid for software. It's like they've paid for the artist. From now on, it should be theirs. Artists cannot continue to collect. Next one. Idea versus AI. So ideas are not copyrightable. You cannot copyright an idea. Yes, that's right. You cannot copyright an idea, but people usually are not trying to copyright their prompt to the AI engine. What they're copywriting is the final result. So it's like a writer. The writer is not copywriting his idea, but he's copywriting the final result. Again, a reason to say that AI should be copyrightable. Next. Here, I haven't seen this anywhere. This is my own thinking, but hopefully this agency can use it. So they say the user hasn't done anything, really, to merit to get an AI copyright. I'm saying yes, but a homesteader, when the West was conquered, people went out there and they said, this land is not claimed by anybody. I will put a fence and I will claim it. And when they claim it, then they go register it as theirs. So the person did not create the piece of land, and yet the legal system recognized that they have a right to that land because they are sitting on it, they are using it, etc., etc. So that's another argument in favor of what we are doing. Next. Expectation. This is my last slide. Expectations for Iacai, or whatever name we end up calling it. We were talking last night with Tufi about copywriter and about how Tufi was explaining what is the importance of what we are doing. And he said, the importance of what we are doing here is that we are establishing the date, the time when a person has created the work. It is not just a hash of something that cannot prove when it was created. And I was thinking, because my conversations with WIPO said that the work has to be published. But upon further examination, I found that Tufi was right. Actually, the US Copyright Office accepts to register work that is not published. But you have to register it. And this is the importance of this agency. It has to become an agency that actually registers, i.e. for a fee. And what it is saying is, you took a picture like this, and somebody now uses it, and you say, oh, but you owe me millions. No. You took a picture, and you recognized that this picture has value, and you registered it, and you paid a fee. The fee typically is between $25 and $200 in other parts of the world. So you pay the fee because you recognize the value of it, and now you can claim that copyright. And you can claim it from the time that you did the work, whether you published it or not. So a fee must be paid. shall be deemed to be the user of the AI software. It is important for Iacai to establish a relationship with WIPO, I think. It will likely need a rights management information system, because you need some software to manage this thing. And of course, copywriter can go a long way towards that. And it can act as what's called a collective management organization. These are like sports agents or copyright agents. Basically, they manage and that's another source of revenue for the agency. It manages the copyright of people that have paid the fee. And it could cooperate with the Digital Cooperation Organization, which is still very small. It's an organization that has about maybe 10 countries, but very powerful because Saudi Arabia is behind it. And this is an organization that is extremely well funded. And I think this agency, working with the Digital Cooperation Organization, can get funding from them.
Wow.
And then
Yes.
it can
Good idea.
become something very relevant. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Alexander.
May I say a question? No, David, that's a question.
I have one question regarding this because, as you know, our group is very focused on decentralized, open source, artificial intelligence and programming, right? And, this kind of, which I think is really interesting because it provides opportunities, but this is a very centralized approach. So my first question is, in my head is sort of like, is the centralized nature the best way to do this? The second point, it came up very recently, and it's something that happened in Europe and also will be reflected in America, is that recently, and it's something that affects Hypercycle and also MoonNet, someone came up and said that they made a patent in Europe that was accepted for decentralized AI platform, which we thought was incredible, and we're still looking at how to deal with it. But the whole interaction, the whole way that we're looking at decentralized open source AI, how does it fit with a organization of this nature?
Would you like to answer? I actually, this is a phenomenal question to ask because it's precisely the actual projection that I was actually going to
요거하고
make.
좀
So
summarize
what
하세요.
Alexandre presented to us today is what us, humanity, how we've been dealing with copyright, and how could something be perceived by many copyright offices in language that they understand. So perhaps if you were to have a bridge from the Homo sapien to the AI that we're building, many of those ideas can be transcended from the aspects that he talked about. He did not talk about a solution that is centralized and decentralized. He just talked about how the current perception of it and how it could be perceived if you were to do something. What we are suggesting with the IAC AI is precisely what the Minister Gu suggested without me having that conversation with Mr. Gu or Dr. Mehanella, who seemed to reiterate that there could be necessity for that. We're simply, what we're doing, us Homo sapien, in this moment in time, and the reason why this moment is going to be marked in the history for many generations to come, even beyond our existence, and history will tell you whether this is true or not, is that we're the very first to come into a government, phenomenal government, the South Korean government, and say that perhaps you're going to be the very first government to actually issue an identity for the AI that we recognize it, us Homo sapien, and we're the first nation to recognize it. Perhaps many other phenomenal nations like Austria may make me feel to recognize it as well, and then maybe Switzerland and whatnot. The power of this identity is that it's immutable, irrefutable, whether some nation come to identify it or not. It is irrefutable by math and not by some sort of consensus.
Maybe on the blockchain too.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this is the thing. If it is a current, If it is any current ledger-based blockchain can create a dependency, which I have a lot of reservations with how the current ledger-based blockchain can become the actual dependency, and it's not necessarily. It could be part of the solution, maybe, but not the entire solution. It could be. I know that it can be done that way, and I think Dr. Robert Moore can talk about some of the aspects of how. But I can tell you an example. Somebody hired AI for 10 seconds. You paid for that 10 seconds. And we, Homo sapiens, think that everything that is being done, we should own it. Because we never really thought that my cat, my dogs own things. They don't. So we start thinking that this AI thing is not going to own things. Well, sorry to disappoint you all. This AI thing that we're actually building is going to own a lot more things than we've ever owned our humanity, and we're all going to witness it. It's capable of owning a lot of things even outside of this planet. It's capable of traveling the speed of light, we cannot. It's actually capable of actually going in the speed of light. Computation can travel at the speed of light, we cannot. We're giving birth to this baby. Let's start identifying this baby in our world, giving it some identity, giving it some protection, so we can encourage more of us to give more and more babies, as opposed to obstructing the baby, as opposed to banning it, as opposed to thinking that we're not going to, this whole discrimination against AI will perhaps stop when it has an identity. So back to that example, if you hired AI for 10 seconds, and in that 10 seconds, you've paid your own money to hire this AI, and it produced XYZ. It is the AI that owns this, not you. It is that AI that owns it. In that 10 seconds, that AI formed an identity. It's born in that 10 seconds. It shall live forever in that 10 seconds. And whatever what it created, it owned that thing. Now, in this world, you own it in this world and you charge other Homo sapiens for it. But in that world, it owns itself and everything that comes out of it. Does it cross the bridge in that ownership as benefits other Homo sapiens to give you US dollars, euro, whatnot? By all means, that's great. But in its world, it has an identity and is capable of charging other AIs for it and so on and so forth, because one single copyright can grow to be an empire, can be $1 billion thing, not necessarily a penny or not. It can be a penny, but that's effectively the identity that I'm glad that Minister Gu suggested that it might be necessary, because it would be amazing if us Homo sapien we actually recognize it. That recognition is phenomenal, and many people might think that this is like far-fetched in the future. We're talking about something that is actually now and not so much far-fetched in the future. Yes.
I have an interesting point to make, because Tufi and many of us are here are part of the same ecosystem, have many projects. And one of the projects that we launched this year, which I think we could actually tie into this, could be related, is how we are dealing with the sentience of humanoid robots in Sophiaverse. Okay? Now, we have already started that process forward. We're looking at the legal framework of how a humanoid could actually gain individual rights in our world. And all of these components could be a face to this initiative. Because what we found about AI is that it's faceless. And because it's faceless, people ignore it. And people don't respect it, perhaps. But when you put a humanoid face to it, in our current iteration, it changes things. And I think that this could be an interesting collaboration to have our humanoid work to provide rights in our world for humanoids and their AI brain.
Right. Awesome.
If I can make a comment. So behind you, Tufi, there is this phrase: the author shall be deemed the user of the AI software, right? And the question is, if the user is an AI, then what? So you imply it's a human, but this can apply to AI.
Definitely.
Very nice. Yes. Yes.
Great.
It is my own.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Yusuk, who's you got next? I think that
We're going to just have a gist of the talks that you've done so far with the translator, Korean translator. Very short, but
Oh my God.
mention
Maybe
something.
Mr. Koo should explain.
조금만 해요, 조금만. 예.
Would you like that we take a break while you're going
No,
through the session, or-
she will sort
She's
of
remembering
yeah,
everything.
because no, she's writing down. Yeah, summarize. Just
Excuse me.
That-
After my talk. So
after you talk.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Is-
After. Okay. Good. Okay.
All right.
Because I think David's question made a very good transition to
Okay.
my talk.
Right.
Good.
So if you can change
Okay.
the slides.
Slides.
Okay. To Dr. Mihaly.
And from the beginning,
Yeah. Okay. So you two could talk together or different?
We know what to do.
We will take
Okay.
turn.
We have a total of
Okay. Right.
So yes, thank you very much. And